All right, this is a video for Math Models Lesson 1 of Unit 3. Unit 3, Lesson 1 of Math Models. And it's a pretty much an overview of linear functions and specifically what the slope and intercept are. So just as a real quick overview, if I look at any linear function, I'll just make one up. Like y equals 3x plus 4, for instance. We need to understand that the linear function represents a relationship between x and y. And that relationship is that every y value is equal to 3 times the x value plus 4. So when we look at these things, the 3 is what we call the slope, and the 4 is what we call the y-intercept. So the 4 represents the number where the line hits 0 on the y-axis. It is kind of the baseline, in a sense, of the function. And the 3x represents the change that occurs from one point to the next. So just for the sake of argument, I'm going to put a couple other points on here that I know are on the graph, and that will kind of help us see this idea that I'm talking about. All right, so like I put two other points. I'll go ahead and put the I'll put the y-intercept on there as well. This is the y-intercept right here, 0, 4. And then these are two other points. And you can see that the graph changes by 3. It goes 1, 2, 3, and then it goes over 1. So we call that the rise over run. So the rise over run is 3 over 1. And that can be simplified to be 3. And that's where we get that 3 from in that equation. So this is the rise, and then this is the run, or how much it goes side to side. So from one point to the next, it goes up 3 over 1. So that's kind of the basic understanding that you need to have. But in this lesson, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking at graphs of linear functions, and you're going to be matching them with the information about the graph, or looking at different equations and comparing them. So let's jump down here and look at the lesson questions. So kind of the first, I'd say, 8 questions are going to be a variety of linear function type questions. The first 4 are going to give you the equations in what we call standard form. It looks like this: x plus y equals number. So this is not the form we usually like it in, but we're going to use it anyway. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to go type it in over here. Let's X these out. And it was 2x plus 3y. I should say the description of the video will have a link to this calculator that I'm using online. So this is the line right here for 2x plus 3y equals 6. First thing that I notice is that the slope is negative. It's going down. I can also see that it crosses at this point. That's the y-intercept. So let's use that information to our advantage as we go looking at the answers to the problems. So notice they ask us for the slope, the y-intercept, and the slope-intercept form. So let's go with what's easiest, and that's the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 2. So we'll jump in there and look at the y-intercept, and we see the y-intercept is 2, which is c. And that leads us down the path of saying, okay, well, if the y-intercept is c, and either a or e is the slope-intercept form, the only one that makes any sense is this answer right here, a. So that's going to be here. And if that's the correct slope-intercept form, then the slope must be negative 2/3, which is the answer choice D. So you can see that once I figure out the y-intercept, I can kind of just follow the trail and figure out the other values. But let's keep going to see if there's any other kind of issues we might run into. Let's try this one. We have another equation, 5x minus 7y equals 5. 5x minus 7y is 5. And we can see that again, this is a little bit of a strange one, but my y-intercept is negative 0.714. So really the only number here that makes sense in that is going to be right here, negative 5/7. But we can also check that. We can open our calculator and do negative 5/7 and see, that is the right number. that's the number that corresponds with my y-intercept here. So then that means B has to be the answer for y-intercept. And then from there, we just kind of follow it along. So if that's the y-intercept, then E has to be the slope-intercept form, because that's where that is the y-intercept. And if that's the slope-intercept form, then the slope has to be positive 5/7, which is D. So that's how you're going to do question 3 and question 4. Follow that same kind of pattern.